Welcome into Seahawks Today. I'm your host, Will Ortner, and we need to help the Hawks the only way that we can, and that is by manifesting a fourth straight victory for Mike McDonald and his crew. So go on and smash that like button, and then we'll get into the preview against the Cardinals for game number 2. All right, I'm going to be honest about this matchup in Lumen Field for your Seattle Seahawks. The Arizona Cardinals have clearly fallen onto hard times, and this is a game you can look right now just at the line in Vegas. Seattle is favored to win this game by a touchdown. That, frankly, Seattle should come in and absolutely dominate against the Arizona Cardinals. They are not a serious team right now. And I'm not trying to disparage an opponent. I'm not trying to overlook an opponent. But when you go through the schedule of what Seattle has left, the Arizona Cardinals, frankly, are just not it. When you look at the NFC West standings right now, it almost turns into that dragon meme, but instead of 3 heads, we're going to go with 4, where you have the 3 scary heads, which would be the Seahawks, first place, Rams, second place, and then obviously the San Francisco 49ers, and then the dragon face where it's like, oh, that's a doofy-looking dragon or a goofy-looking dragon, silly dragon. That is the Arizona Cardinals. They are not going to be a good team for the rest of this year. Don't be shocked if you see a head coaching firing there as well at the end of the year. But enough about how bad the Cardinals are. Let's dive into some of the key injuries for your Seattle Seahawks. Now, I think these are the 3 most important, not to disparage, Jake Bobo's injury, not to disparage Derek Young's injury. You already know that Julian Love is on IR. But what is going to be the injury status of Cooper Kupp, Ernest Jones IV, and Josh Jobe? Right now, all 3 are listed as questionable at the time of this recording. Cooper Kupp is dealing with a heel and a hamstring injury. Ernest Jones obviously dealing with that knee injury, and Josh Jobe dealing with a concussion. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe that you are going to see any of these 3 players playing on Sunday. For me, if you have a game against a team that, let's be fair, they should be doing mock drafts right now. They should be planning on who is going to be the new star player for the Arizona Cardinals. You don't need to waste a Josh Jobe potentially re-injuring himself, a Ernest Jones potentially re-injuring his knee. You don't need to waste Cooper Kupp in this matchup. I think that with the Los Angeles Rams on the horizon, you might as well let all 3 guys get some rest and be fully prepared to go out and play the Rams in LA. That doesn't mean that you're not going to see them in action, but personally for me, I would like to see all 3 of them rest and recover and be ready to go for 2 weeks from now. Looking at the Arizona Cardinals, this is one of the weirder situations or storylines going on right now in the NFL because, yeah, Kyler Murray is hurt, but at the same time, it sounds like he's going to be available to go. He's obviously been dealing with a foot injury for the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett came in against the Dallas Cowboys, and, well, he played extremely well, helped them get a victory in that one. Kyler Murray, it does sound like will be available, but it doesn't sound like the Cardinals and the rest of that coaching staff want to use him in this matchup. Maybe he's the latest victim of the soft benching trend that seems to continue through the NFL. I'm pretty confident right now. I think if you've been listening to any of this video with any volume on at all, you're going to realize that I think the Seahawks can win this game against the Arizona Cardinals by 10 plus. Frankly, I wouldn't be shocked if it looks like your game against the New Orleans Saints, where you basically run up the score until that third quarter, and then, well, you get some backups in. I think the Seahawks are going to win by 10 plus on Sunday. Go down in the comments, type T for true if you believe me, type F for false if you do not. Next, we're going to get into 2 key matchups that I find fascinating when it comes to your Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The first one, and I think everyone's wondering, how will Seattle use their new weapon, Rashid Shaheed? If you've been living under a rock for the last 24 hours, right at the trade deadline, GM John Schneider made a trade with the New Orleans Saints, and he brought in the speedster from Weber State to add in and become really somewhere between your wide receiver 3 and wide receiver 4 for this squad. Now, when you look at the season stats so far for Shaheed, he's obviously been playing extremely, extremely well. He's on pace right now to have a career high in receptions as well as targets and yards. He's at 499. If he gets over that 700 mark in receiving yards, he'll have a career high there. Now, what I do find interesting for Shaheed is his average is a lot lower than it has been in previous years. In fact, I believe this is the lowest yards per reception average that he has had by about 4 yards, if I remember the stats completely correctly. It's in that ballpark, right? I think that you're going to see that yards per average skyrocket in Seattle because the Seahawks don't need to use him in the low intermediate passing game. The Seahawks do not need to use Shaheed in quick screens necessarily. Will they? They should, yes, 100%. But I think you saw in New Orleans an idea that we need to drive up some of his trade ability, move up in the fact that New Orleans wanted a third-round pick for Shaheed. So what do? They target him more. They get him more receptions. They get him more touchdowns. They get him more touches of the football. In Seattle, that's not what he needs to be. He needs to be a deep play threat. And I think the perfect deal for Clint Kubiak and the rest of that offensive crew there is to start taking deep shots with Shaheed. Let him take the top off of the defense. And if I'm Sam Darnold, and at any point I see a safety-less Rashid Shaheed, what do I mean by that? No safety over the top. I'm immediate hot route, Shaheed, go deep, and I'm chucking it up for him. His former quarterback, Derek Carr, said it's the best way to get him involved in a game. There are a few players in the NFL that once they get past everyone truly will not be caught. Rashid Shaheed is one of those players. I think that he can make an immediate impact in the game, and that might be with him only having 1 or 2 catches in this ballgame. Soon, I'm going to talk about the other matchup that I want to watch, and it's on the defensive side, and frankly, I think one of the star players in Seattle is going to be looking for a little bit of revenge. But before we get into that, I do need to talk to you about the proud sponsor of today's episode, and that, of course, is Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. I have a little 3-pick power play for this weekend's action. Tua, less on his passing yards. Don't buy into Tua. JSN, more on his receiving yards. Sam Darnold, more on his pass TDs. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. This is going to be a Devin Witherspoon revenge game. Now, I think a lot of you are going to say, Will, this isn't fair to say that it's going to be a revenge game. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals and Devin Witherspoon was playing through an injury. I still think that when I know an athlete, and I feel like I know Devin Witherspoon pretty well, that anytime there's a little bit of a slight, if he ever feels like someone beat him in something, he's going to want to make sure that he shuts that player down the next time he sees them. And Marvin Harrison Jr. in Week 4 had a pretty darn good game. Now, not all of these receptions are against Devin Witherspoon, but a vast majority of them were, including the touchdown that was late in that matchup that helped the Arizona Cardinals get back into this game. Remember, the Seahawks were blowing their doors off for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, some late football weirdo magic got the Cardinals back into that one. Obviously, no big breakaway catch for Marvin Harrison Jr., but he definitely had some key third down catches to help move the chains, as well as that touchdown. Again, I want to be completely fair to Devin Witherspoon. He was dealing with an MCL bruise. Frankly, he probably rushed himself back too early to participate in this game. He probably should have taken another week off. He'd obviously missed the first 2 weeks prior to that. He'd missed the Pittsburgh game as well as missing the New Orleans Saints game. But I know that Devin Witherspoon is competitive. And I know that he doesn't like it when he gets got. Marshawn Lynch said it best. I'm going to get got, but I'm going to get mine way more than I get got. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but I know I'm in the ballpark. Devin Witherspoon thinks the same way. I mean, just watch him run around on the field. Watch the way that he competes. He does not want to lose ever. And to have Marvin Harrison Jr. have a little bit of a victory in week 4 over his head, Spoon wants to let everybody know that he's back and 100% healthy. He looked awesome against the Washington Commanders. I expect him to look awesome against the Cardinals and completely shut down the only wide receiver threat that the Cardinals have. Watch for a big game from Devin Witherspoon. Now, I want you to go into the comments section and predict the score down below. I'm going to get into my score prediction here in just a moment, but I want to know what you have to say. Do you have the Seahawks winning? Do you have the Seahawks winning by a lot, by a little? And if you have the Arizona Cardinals winning, you can still put that down below in the comments section, but you will get ridiculed by me and all of my Seattle Seahawks friends. My score prediction for this game, Seahawks 42, Cardinals 10. This should be an absolute blowout. It should be a butt-kicking, do not play with your food. It should look like it did on Sunday night against the Washington Commanders. The Seahawks are not a good team. They are a great team. And you are a team that is playing a vastly inferior team to you. If you want to reach all of the heights that I think the Seahawks can reach and want to reach, that's winning a Super Bowl, that's being in Super Bowl contention, that's winning the NFC West, you have to dominate those that are inferior to you. And best case scenario, if you can blow them out, get your starters out by the third quarter, you're going to be well rested going into probably the most fascinating matchup of Week 11, and that's when you take on the Los Angeles Rams down in Los Angeles. Remember, we need to keep the mojo going for your Seattle Seahawks. So go on in and smash that thumbs up button, like the video to help the Seahawks get to 4 straight victories. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss any of the Seahawks content that we've got coming on the page, on the stream, on the video, on the channel. We've got great content coming out every single day that you for sure do not want to miss. So make sure that you subscribe, and I'll see you guys later on.